So pleased to have Javier Colon here. Thank you very much for being on.
It is an honor. So
the
nice
Voice winner of 2011.
Yes.
And now you tour, and this is your day job.
This is my day job. This is my dream job that I dreamt of as a kid that I didn't think I would ever be able to attain. And I'm very, very blessed.
And you're doing it.
And I'm doing it.
All right, let's go back to when you were a kid.
Okay.
When did you know you were musical?
You know, I sang a lot in the house. My dad was, and actually still is, well, he was a radio DJ. Now he owns a small station in Bridgeport, Spanish language station in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And so the music was on literally from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, because when he was at the station, my mom was listening to him on the radio. And when he would come home, he would want to hear what was going on at the station while he wasn't there. So it was constant music.
What kind of music?
It was Latin music. So it was, you know, the ones that I remember vividly that I would sing along with were the ballads. You know, all the Spanish ballads from the Camilo Sestos and Enrique or Julio Iglesias and Jose Feliciano. Those are the ones that really kind of I gravitated towards, and I would try to sing them as loud as I could. But even then, I didn't really think I was good at it. I just thought I was a kid just having fun. And then when I got into 7th grade, first day of school, I was in choir. This was at Flood Middle School in Stratford, and I was in choir. The teacher, Miss Sandra Spadaccino.
You remember her name?
Oh no, she was integral in my life and in my career. I'll never forget her. And she said, "Can you stay after class?" And I said, "Sure." And I stayed after, and she said, "Hey, you have a really, really nice voice. Do you sing at home?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, I play the guitar. I just started writing songs, and you know, I just kind of sing stuff that's on the radio." She said, "Can you sing something for me?" So I said, "Sure." And I played. Oh, I didn't have my guitar, but I sang something for her, just kind of on the spot.
Do you remember what you sang?
It was "Heaven by Warrant."
Can you give me a little?
Yeah.
You're going back.
Going way back. Got a picture of your house, and you're standing by the door. It's black and white and faded, and looking pretty warm. Yeah, that's.
So you did that for her?
So I did that for her without the guitar, and she said, "Oh, she's wonderful. Can you bring your guitar in tomorrow morning? I'd love to hear you before homeroom." And I said, "Sure." So I brought my guitar the next day, and I went to see her first thing, and I played this song for her, and she was like, "That was amazing. I'm going to give you a pass. I want you to come this afternoon, and I want you to sing that song for the 8th grade girls choir class." And I almost instantly died. I was like, there's no way. I mean, the thing that you're most afraid of as a 7th grade boy is the 8th grade girls. And she was like, "You're gonna," you know, and I hadn't sung in front of really anyone yet, except for my family. And I was instantly ill, physically ill. I went to the nurse the next period. I said, I don't feel well. I have to go home. And the teacher and the nurse called my mom, and my mom was going to pick me up. Miss Spad walks by, and she sees me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't feel well." And she says, "I know what you're doing. You're trying to get out of what I asked you to do this afternoon, and it's not going to happen." She calls my mom and says, do not come pick him up. He's going to do this thing for me, and he's not getting out of it." And my mom was like, "Okay." She didn't come pick me up. I had to go do it. I did it, and that was the first time I had ever sung in front of my peers, and they loved it. And you know, from that day forward,
it changed your life?
Yeah, I was the guy who was the singer in school. And she didn't stop there. She knew that I was afraid, so she, you know, for the next 2 weeks, she made me sing the national anthem at the beginning of school on the loudspeaker for everyone to hear for the next 2 weeks in a row, until I begged her, "Can I please not sing it anymore?" And she said, "Okay, fine, you've done enough." But that's who she was in my life. She pushed me. And she, you know, she wanted me to get comfortable. She said the only way to be comfortable on stage is to keep doing it, is to keep singing. Sing in front of as many people as you can. So she always had these little challenges for me to kind of break out of my shell. And by the end of 7th grade, I was like, this is what I want to do. I'm like,
Who put a guitar in your hand?
My parents bought me a guitar They bought me a toy guitar when I was like 5, but I loved it, but it didn't really work because it was like, you know, they were plastic strings, and, you know, I wanted to play it, but it just didn't never sounded good. So when I was 7, they bought me a guitar that I still have at home, and I started playing that, and I started playing piano when I was 7 years old. Took lessons on and off, but I would take lessons, and then I would stop practicing, and my mom was like, I'm not going to pay for lessons if you're not going to practice. So she would take me out, and then a year later, be like, Mommy, can I take lessons again? And she'd, oh, you know, okay, fine. So she'd put me back in lessons, but then the same thing would happen. I'd want to play with my friends. Summertime would come, and I wouldn't want to practice, and my teachers would be upset with me that I wasn't practicing. So she would pull me out again. And after that, doing that a few times, by the time I was, you know, 13, I took lessons a couple more times, but I really started learning the rest on my own, and that was the last time I took lessons, when I was about 14 years old.
So you get to high school. What starts happening in high school?
By then, you know, I wanted to do everything musical that I possibly could.
Did you start writing your own stuff then?
I started writing my own stuff about 13. When in 7th grade, I started writing songs for the girls that I wanted to be my girlfriends.
Of course.
So I was like, well, the other guys weren't doing it, so I said, it's, you know, give me a
romance them with music,
exactly, right? Exactly. So I was a romantic from a young age, but that's what were my initial you know, songs were, you know, little rock songs about you know, liking a girl or something like that. But
did you play in a band, or always a solo act?
Not really a band. I had folks that I would jam with, but we didn't really form a band at all. It was just more like me and one of my best friends, Andy, would you know, he and I would play guitar together after school. That was kind of like our thing, and we'd play all the rock stuff. We would play Broadway tunes. You know, we'd play pretty much everything.
Who developed your voice? Did you do that on your own? Did you have training?
I did have training. Actually, because of Miss Bad, she connected me with a great coach in Trumbull. He's not there anymore, but his name was Stan Wojciechowski, and I took lessons with him from 7th grade all the way through high school. And then when I got to college, I started out as a music theater major, then I switched to music ed. But when I switched to music ed, I ended up getting classical training in college, and that I really felt is where I saw the change and heard the change in my voice. If I listened to some of the things that I did before college, they were good, but you know, I could, you know, pick holes in it all day, and you know, I still pick holes in everything that I do you know,
You're
pretty much all day.
Are you?
I am, but there was a big difference in the strength of my voice.
What musicians speak to you? Who are you emulating? Are you just Javier? Are you somebody else? There's a James Taylor stuff in there. What's the draw to James Taylor?
I love James, and I credit my wife for really introducing me to his music. You know, I heard his music and just like the intricacies of his finger picking and his guitar playing, and also his songwriting, and I was like, I have to learn everything that he's ever done.
What's your favorite James Taylor song?
It's hard to say. I mean, there's...
Give me one of them.
Give you one. Let's see. There's something in the way she moves, looks my way and calls my name. She seems to leave this troubled world behind. And if I'm feeling down and blue, troubled by some foolish game, she always seems to make me change my mind. I feel fine anytime she's around me now. She's around me now, I guess all the time. And if I'm well, you can tell she's been with me now. She's been with me now quite a long, long time, and I feel fine.
Have you met him? Have you played with him?
I have met him on several occasions. I have not had a chance to sit with him with guitar in hand and go back and forth.
Why not?
I know, I know. You know what? We shared the same business management firm for a while, and so that's how I would get backstage at the shows, and we got to the point where, you know, he would see me and he'd say, Javier, and I'm like, James, and it just was like very cool. It's like I get chills in my face just thinking about it because I admire him so much. And last time I saw him, my wife came with me, and we were backstage at one of his shows, and his tour manager had let me and my wife and I in before any of the other fans that were waiting to see him. He's like, hey, we'll give you some time alone with James. I'm like, this is amazing. So we go in and we talk, and we just had the best little 7-minute talk. And then as I was walking out, he's like, so when are we going to sing something together? And I'm like, James.
Hello.
I'm like, James, will you tell me when, and I will drop anything and everything to be there. So you tell me when, and I'm there. And so far, unfortunately, we have not made that happen, but I hope someday soon.
How'd you end up on The Voice?
You know, I
Tried out, they kept picking you.
They did. I almost didn't try out. You know, even before The Voice, if we rewind a little bit, back in 2002, I got a record deal with Capitol Records. And
You're how old?
I was 22 at the time, and I thought that I had made it. I released a couple albums with them. They didn't do very well. I ended up getting dropped in 2006. But I thought, well, you know, I was fortunate enough to have a bidding war when I did get the deal with Capitol. So I said, well, maybe I'll just go back to those other labels and see if they'll sign me now. They wanted nothing to do with me. After 2 what they consider failed, you know, releases, I was damaged goods to pretty much everybody
at that age
at that point.
already.
Yeah, and so I was still trying to find a record deal. I was, you know, riding the wave, whatever wave of success that I had had with the small success that I had had with those releases, and I was doing college shows. I was doing all kinds of stuff, and but I was still thinking I could get a record deal somehow. So then The Voice comes along. My manager sends me an email. It's kind of a blast out to a bunch of managers and agents that Universal Republic sent out, saying, hey, there's this new show. Send all of your artists to this audition. And my manager sent it to me, and they had like little links of, they had just done it in Holland, and it was the #1 show in Holland in its first year. It had beat the Dutch Idol, it had beaten X Factor, and all of the shows of its kind. And they said they're bringing it to the United States, and this is what it looks like. So you can click on the link and see these people with the chairs and turning around. You couldn't understand what they said when they were talking, but you could see them singing, and you could see the premise of the show. And I was like, I'm like, I don't want to do a show. I just wasn't into it. My manager said, hey, I secured an audition time for you if you want to go. And I was like, I don't think so. And we talked a couple days later, and I told him, I said, listen, I don't want to upset them, so cancel it for me. And then, if I just decide to go next year or something, they won't be mad at me for just not showing up.
Were you in a good place at the time, or were you down on your music and down on the industry? Because it's a tough industry.
I didn't know it at the time, but I was down. I was still optimistic, but I had really nothing going for me.
I mean, you'd already been signed by Capitol.
I had been
dropped,
and then I was, finding myself, struggling. And at this point, my wife and I had 2 beautiful girls, ages 4 and 2, and the pressure was on to deliver in some way. And and if I couldn't do it with music, I was going to have to do it another way. I talked to a lot of people about this possibility of doing this show, but I was like, I'm not really going to do it. And I had friends trying to push me to do it. And one of the last folks that I spoke to was my brother, like 2 days before the audition. And he said, hey, so you're going to do the audition, right? And I said, no, I'm not going to go. And he was really quiet. This is my older brother, 4 years older. And I'm worried now that he's so quiet. And the next thing that he told me, he said, Javier, what do you have going on in your career right now where you think you can miss this opportunity? And I was like, touche. I had nothing. All I had was mounting bills and not a lot, not a lot of ways that I was, to pay them. So I said, you know what, you're right. I don't have anything to lose by trying this. So I guess I'll try it. And I called my manager back right after I got off the phone with him, and I said, hey, did you cancel that audition? And he said, oh, I completely forgot. I'll call him right now. And I said, don't. I'm gonna go. And he said, really? Okay. Okay, great. And I went. And
so you show up where?
I show up at SIR Studios in New York City.
Okay. And you play?
And I play and sing. I was not prepared for this audition at all. They had said, in the audition paperwork, prepare 3 songs that have all been like hits in the last 5 years. No originals and no old songs. I go in singing an original, Cyndi Lauper, Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time, and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I mean, it doesn't get older. It doesn't get older than that.
Lose with that, though.
But I mean, I did not adhere to any of the rules they had, they had set forth. But I was so, I just, wasn't thinking about the audition until.
But you wowed them.
Fortunately, I was able to get their attention, and they wanted me to go through to the next phase. And, that was another phase that almost didn't happen because I had promised my wife that, I wouldn't put us in more danger.
How long a stretch of time was that where you go from, was it a year?
So the first audition was, I want to say it was like the 11th of February, and then they wanted, so then a week goes by, and then they reach out and said, hey, we want you to come to Los Angeles. You've made it to the next portion, and you leave in a week. And I was like, okay, wow. So the only thing that I had on the books was so I was doing college shows at the time. And
so you were touring?
I was touring. Okay. I was touring. But the way I got the college shows is that you have a college agent that would get you in front of these showcases where you perform for 15 minutes in front of 150 schools. And you can get like 40 gigs from this one 15-minute.
Pretty good money, too.
Absolutely. So it could literally make your year to do one of these things. And I had one of these showcases happening like 2 weeks after they were wanting me to leave to Los Angeles. And I was like, I talked to my wife about it. I said, well, I can't take the risk of doing this show, if I would miss this opportunity to make what is, real, substantial money. So if they don't let me leave, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go.
You kept saying no.
I kept trying to find a way to get out.
And then you win it.
Yeah, I did.
So you win it, you tour, I'm assuming, for a year or so after you win The Voice. Then it's over, and then you come home and you start writing, and you have an agent, you tour. What's going on with you these days? Oh, and by the way, you sang at the swearing in of the new governor, which was awesome.
I did, and the best part of that was that I got a call from Governor Lamont maybe 3 days later, I was in New York City with my daughter, and I get a call from a Connecticut number. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I'm going to answer it. And it was Governor Lamont. He said, hey, Javier, Ned Lamont. And I'm like,
cool.
Hi. It was cool. It was really, really thoughtful and really nice of him to call. And he just wanted to thank me for being there, and that he really enjoyed my national anthem. And I thought that was really, really cool of him. So,
what does music do for you?
It's very therapeutic for me. If I'm ever down, even when I'm happy, like I'm singing, like I don't notice how much I sing until I lose my voice. Sometimes you lose your voice, you have a cold or the flu or what have you, and your voice goes. And then it's in those times when I go to sing and I can't, is like this depression comes over you. You're like, well, what do you mean? I can't make that noise that I usually make, and you don't realize how often you do it until you can't. It's devastating, when and you're always in the back of your mind. You're like, what if it doesn't come back the same way that it was? And so then eventually it comes back, and knock on wood so far. And
speaking of which, this guitar is gorgeous.
My baby.
What's it made out of? And did you have it made for you?
I did. This is a Taylor custom guitar that they made for me. It is made of Hawaiian koa, front, back, and sides, with maple bindings, maple wedge in the back, and abalone inlays, and exterior, all the perimeters, all abalone. And
what's the range of this particular wood, and why did you choose this?
This is, I think I'm correct in this, but but koa is like a medium sound. It's just like a warm sounding wood, and I absolutely love the way it sounds. I love the way it looks. We have a boxer named Koa who is a brindle boxer that looks exactly like this, and his name is Koa. Because of that, but I love the look of it, and I love the sound, the warm tone, and I'm so blessed. They put my JC logo on the 12th fret, also on the headstock up here. So there's only one like it in the world, and it is mine, and I'm I love it. And they've been awesome to me, Taylor. I've been a Taylor artist for years now, and they're amazing.
How does somebody describe your type of music? Javier Colon plays what?
You know, I'm a singer-songwriter. I always say I kind of lead with that. But the genre is, you know, it varies. It's somewhere between acoustic soul and rock and pop with a little R&B in there, and a little folk and a little country. It's a little bit of everything. So it's pretty
much everything.
I try to, you know, be
Do you ever rap?
A little everything.
Maybe that's one thing you don't do?
Since Hamilton came out, I've been rapping more often because I'm a big Hamilton fan.
When you write a song, can you write a song really quickly, or does it take you a long time?
Sometimes it begins really quickly, and then, you know, because I'm a perfectionist, I want it to be right. I will, you know, it starts to slow down, and you kind of have a flurry of thoughts and ideas that come out, and then I kind of stall and take.
What have you written this week? Anything? Last week?
The only thing I wrote this week, it was I stopped by my son's school, his kindergarten, and we were talking about they were doing a lesson on expressing yourself, and I was telling them that I express myself through music and through writing songs, and you know, I gave them the challenge of helping me write a song. I said, what do you want the song to be about? And I said, raise your hand, and somebody said crayons. And I said, okay. And then I went to someone else and said, okay, what's your favorite color? And you know, we just kind of went through and started, you know, singing about the colors of the crayons.
And then what happened on the guitar?
So I told them, I said, this is, you know, usually I'll start with a chord progression. And first color I think we started was with blue, something like that. I'm writing it again, but my favorite color is blue. My favorite color is blue. How about you?
Oh, that was so cute.
So we did that, and you know, we'd switch colors and you know, kind of go to something different. So that's all I wrote this past week.
I have one last question for you. It's 5 years from now. What are you doing?
Hopefully.
What's the dream?
You know, the dream is just, I mean, you know, I feel like I'm living the dream right now. I get to travel the country, I get to travel the world with my guitar, singing for many people, and I get to write songs and release them and share them with so many people, and you know, it's what I dreamt of doing as a kid. So you know, would I like to be doing that in 5 years? I want to still consider myself an artist in 5 years. I still want to be touring, you know, at my own terms, like I have been, which is great because I still get to spend a lot of time with my family, which is awesome.
And that's everything.
Which is everything. This is the only reason that I do any of this is because, you know, I want to support them. Obviously, I love what I do, and I'm blessed to get to do that. But if it didn't support my family, I'm not doing it anymore.
All right, we're going to hear you do it. Thank you so much for being on, and we're going to hear you play a song.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. Baffled king composing hallelujah. 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 Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. You know, I used to live alone before I knew you. I've seen your flag on the Marble Arch. Love is not a victory march. So cold and it's unbroken. Hallelujah. 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 Maybe there's a God above. All I've ever learned from love is how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's unbroken. Hallelujah. 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 Yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
When one this in is this girl? Spend all night kissing, and if Walter's right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm as a wishing. I found the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store, but mine just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride.